What is transgender?
Yep. So, yep. In the purest sense of the term, doctors make guesses at what gender is going to be at birth, right? Which is why people still engage in this arcane practice of gender reveals. Doctors are using every tool that they have, right? They're assessing chromosomes and makeup through the lens of biology, which is more of a social construct. The two things get mixed together. And they typically say that this child will likely be a boy. This child will likely be a girl. There's a small percentage of times where you cannot make a determination based on scientific principles. And so that baby might be intersex.
Okay. I'm a tad bit confused. Now, my concern with this is that Jamal Bryant has never really been the world's most honorable preacher. There's definitely an agenda that he has had and seems like will continue to have. And this is one that I'm going to share my 2 cents on. What is transgender? If you ask me honestly, I think if you just look it up online, it's going to tell you exactly what it is. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because people like Jamal Bryant find themselves in situations like this where they're trying to appease a certain crowd, when I don't think that that's the point of ministry. I don't think that's the point of the position that he's in. To use his platform to then ask someone what is transgender, and the way that he's asking it is in such a way that he is trying to be the person that is clearing the air. He's for the people. He's for everyone. You can trust him. You can go to his church because everyone is welcome. And it's a thin line because, yes, although everyone is welcome and everyone should always feel welcome when it comes to the house of God, but there is a very real, this is not okay that needs to be put out there. Instead of there really trying to be like us gathering this false information that I think this gentleman is sharing, because I'm confused from just hearing the breakdown of what he was saying, of how doctors try their best to come up with a gender, but sometimes they're not right. And if they're not right, or they can't use the scientific methods to discover if this is going to be a male or female, then the baby might be intersex. What part of this is in the Bible? And for someone like Jamal Bryant, a preacher of the Word of God, to use his platform to educate individuals on this, I'd like to see where he's going to go with this.
You as a person growing up and developing identify with the gender that the doctor assigned to you. You are cisgendered. CIS. Okay. Not cis. You are cisgendered.
Tell me what that is.
It simply means that your gender identity is consistent with the gender identity that a doctor assigned to you.
Okay, so that would be what I'm thinking from what he's saying there, since the doctor, when I was born years ago, said that, hey, this is a man, this is going to be a boy. Since I guess identify with that, and what the doctor said is true, and what God made is true, because God is true, then I would be considered cisgendered because my gender is consistent with the guesstimation. That's what they're trying to make it seem like, that if your gender is consistent, or if you identify with a gender that is consistent with the one that was guesstimated for you by the doctor at birth, then you're cisgender. It's all these titles and rules and things. And like I'm saying, God didn't talk about cisgender. He didn't talk about, there's male, there's female. There's not all this difference of opinion. I looked it up myself. Jamal Bryant's asking, what is transgender? Google tells you it's individuals whose gender identity or their internal sense of being male, female, or another gender differs from the sex that they were assigned at birth. So, I was assigned this gender, like someone just threw it at you. No, it was confirmed. But I like how they use that that terminology there, assigned. Oh, this was assigned to me at birth. No, this was confirmed with the bodily functions and parts that you have that are undeniably yours. It was confirmed with that. So that's very interesting. And the look on Jamal's face to just be in this position where I know what he's trying to do, it's just trying to advertise himself to another audience. And even with the little comments of trying to be cool and relatable, it's just crossing the line, and it's just not okay. And more people need to start talking out about this. I don't know if you guys saw that clip where he talked to Cam Newton and shared those very, I think, uncomfortable, inappropriate, like, men just don't talk this way. And if you didn't see it, I'll pull up the clip for you guys here.
You got pretty legs, man.
Oh, man.
And they lanolated.
Man, listen,
I mean,
I'm back working out.
You put shea butter, jergens.
Oh, you see that?
They glowing in the dark.
I'm just
Y'all
nourished.
zoom in. Do not skip leg day.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Sometimes you got to remind people, like, it's okay, but the work has to be done.
Oh, listen, it's evident. It pays
you know
off.
what I'm saying? I'm back eating right, trying to live right.
Yes.
I done purged my tongue since last speaking with you.
Yeah.
So I don't curse no more. I try not to curse no more. I had a
Wow.
flare up the other day, but
Yes.
who's keeping count?
I'm not.
Other than that, man, life's good.
But men just don't talk that way, man. And it's pastors at that, men of God. It's just, I understand where the motive is, and it's just not a good motive. He had another clip here. He was talking to this gentleman, and I want to hear what else they had to say, because I really want to know, what was he trying to get out of this besides trying to create an image that I think, and you guys can come for me if you think I'm wrong, but besides trying to create an image where I think Jamal Bryant is trying to appease a certain audience in the wrong way. I'm not saying that he should leave transgenders alone and leave homosexuals alone. I'm not saying that, because they're saving and there's still room at the foot of the cross for them. But what I am going to say is that there's definitely a way to go about that. And it seems like he's trying to get an understanding into the wrongful ideology that this community has shared for too long, instead of getting the understanding to guide them in a different direction. I think he's just trying to get an understanding to get some acceptance so he can have more of them in his ministry. Let's check this one out.
When we think about trans athletes in sports, again, in a world where we should be talking about equity, that nobody's talking about trans men in sports should lead us to ask some questions, or at least think critically. But when we think about trans athletes generally at the collegiate level, NCAA,
Yeah.
if there are roughly 20,000 NCAA athletes in the country, how many of them do you think are trans?
100.
Fewer than that. It's fewer than that.
Wow.
And what I want most people to remember is that before this became a manufactured problem, schools and colleges and the Olympics and other federations found ways to ensure that people could compete without regard for these manufactured problems or concern.
These manufactured problems and concerns is the, trying to say this nicely, the mental challenges, if you will, that are not being spoken about. We got to be able to get to a point where we can call, as they say, a spade, where we can all agree that the sky is blue, where we can agree that, the sun comes up in the morning and the moon comes up at night. If we can't just get to the point where common sense is common, this is always going to be a debate, and there's never going to be any understanding of it. If you want to go off and be something different than what you are, let it be known to be that. But we don't have to create a false sense of reality, and we don't have to create all this heebie-jeebie, new-aged hooey to try to justify our wrongdoings, man. And furthermore than that, we don't need the church and people of the church or the body trying to get an understanding to condone it. or to try to get an understanding to look like I'm accepting of everything. We can be honest and we can be straightforward to say that, yes, God does love you, but there's some things that he doesn't accept, and that's just one of them. It's just like when you're kids, your parents love you, but there were some things they didn't accept. There were rules. There were things they weren't okay with. Well, our Heavenly Father is that same exact way. And I think that if we spent less time trying to be accepted, then we would be able to spend more time on the people who are actually hurting, people who've come up in the church, people who are looking to the church for things that the church is causing hurt for. We are the body, and we got to make sure that we are representing the kingdom. Let's check out this clip with Leandria Johnson, profound believer, Christian, artist, struggling, alcoholic, wanting answers. And you hear as she's talking, wanting answers, but struggled so much. People wanting to go to the church, to the body, to the members of the kingdom, if you will, for answers, for support. But they're not getting it. They're not getting it. And I think partly to it, it's not the whole reason, but partly to it is going to be Jamal Bryant and some of his other buddies there, where they've turned that sacred place into such a performing institution that we're missing out on opportunities like individuals like Leandria Johnson who are really suffering in real time. And I don't think that her, along with other people that are searching for answers, are getting them.
A drink in a situation like that? Is there any specific thing? I know things happen in life, and I've made decisions in my life sometimes. I'll be like, whatever, and I'll do some stupid crap, right? But is there anything specific that led you there? And when you got there, it's like, okay, it became a coping mechanism for you, and you got stuck and you can't get out?
Well, like you said, everybody has things that they go through.
Everybody. I
get it. So I'm not saying that I'm drinking because somebody talked about me. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not drinking because I got fibroids, and I want a hysterectomy. Or I'm just being candid.
Yeah, please.
And I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about me having to fight with or dealing with the fact that I was a PK.
Talk about it.
I hate it. I hated being a PK. Mm-hmm. Still haunts me to this day that I was a PK. I just wanted to be a regular child.
I hear that all the time, especially with PKs, pastors' kids. The thing is a little bit of that has to do with the politics that have very much creeped their way into the church. So there's a certain, the pastor's kids, there's a certain image they have to uphold. There's a certain expectation that they have. There's certain standards that they're held to that majority of the time, they didn't even ask to be held to those standards. And honestly, God's not holding PKs to those standards. The imagery, the traditions of men, and all that stuff that we've brought upon ourselves, that we active members of the body have brought into the church, has caused pain to believers, has caused pain internally. We've hurt people outside the body, but we've also gotten to the point where people are openly expressing how we've even hurt people inside the body.
And I couldn't. I couldn't. And I was taunted. I used to get beat up every day because I could sing and they couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff started young, so it wasn't just going to church and dealing with, whatever you had to deal with them and then go out into civilization, don't know how to live this thing called life because all you taught is Jesus, God. So the only time I felt normal was when I was in church. And the story, it'll be in my book, but it just starts it starts from young. And I said, if I ever have children, if I ever have kids, I would never raise them the way I was raised.
100%.
You know, and I started, I didn't like God. I was like, well, hell, I mean, what you mean? Forgiveness. What do you mean love? I don't feel this. And I'm a child.
Yeah.
So it's different. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But anyway, so that will be one of the reasons I'll sit. And if I start drinking and I start thinking about that, then I believe that's the trigger. I believe that's what makes me just be like, you know what? Damn it. That did happen to me. I forgot that. I forgot I was molested.
Oh, come on, Lee.
Because I had to purposely block stuff out.
Come on, Lee.
Dang. That did.
Wow, isn't that terrible? Because of those politics, sometimes things that pastors' kids are actually suffering, they're not able to express it. They don't have outlets, proper outlets, if you will, because a lot of their stuff has to be hush hush. Because, as I said, I definitely believe that a lot of these ministers, like I said, as the church has become such a political statement, such a performing arts, if you will. Everything is hush hush, and then the leaders and the pastors and their family and the pastors' kids, and everything has to look perfect. And it couldn't be farther from the truth, bro. God doesn't want us looking perfect. God doesn't want this shiny, decorative, pearly image on us, bro. Be real, be honest, and utilize the body of Christ in the right way. And we should be out here to be able to help people like this, man. That sucks. That definitely sucks. And like I'm saying, it creeps in. And we saw a little bit earlier with Jamal Bryant and his debacle with the transgender community. It's like they're just focused on so many other wrong things when all of these things are happening right under our noses inside the very churches that these leaders are leading.
To me, didn't it? Oh, man. Being followed home from school and can't really say nothing to your parents because you don't even know if they're going to say anything about it or not. Having to wait years before you can tell your parents you were molested by a family member.
Jesus.
So that's what it is. And I'm not joking right now.
Yeah.
I start drinking because of a certain situation, but the more I drink, my mind just drifts and then that pain comes back. It comes back and then I get angry and I'll just be like, man, all right. Dang, that could be what it is.
Yeah. So.
And it is tough because I know a lot of people go to the church for the healing and for the answers they're looking for. And there's a lot of church hurt that goes on. So I definitely want to always encourage people to make sure you do have an individual relationship, because that's what's going to be key, man. That's what's going to help you, because what she's going through is kind of like a cycle of rut, where it's like she might feel good one moment and the next moment she's not feeling good. And then she's going to fall back into whatever traps that, kind of are already set there before in the spiritual realm. But you're going to have that individual relationship with God, because she's going to have to get to a point, just like so many of us, where when life does get hard, we go to the source.
You think?
No, I definitely think. I think traumas are triggers. Traumas are triggers. When you have been traumatized as a child or as a person, adults get traumatized by things. And when you think about it, they trigger you. Some people go kill people. Some people go shoot up a building because they had traumas that they didn't deal with. Some people drink. Some people cuss people out. Some people gamble. It's whatever it is. Traumas are triggers. And I believe that not properly managed, it can take you down a rabbit hole.
That's sad, man. It's really sad. And my only thought process is, and it isn't not just all on Jamal Bryant or any particular pastor, but just the stance and the posture of where we're at today as a community is what saddens me, when the focus is just in the wrong place. And all the while, man, there's people who are hurting, people who are looking for answers, people who are looking for direction and guidance. And we've got placeholders in these positions not taking that stuff seriously, man. But hey, I appreciate you guys sticking through, man. I take it seriously, and whatever little nugget you guys can get from this, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to share what I can share and point out what I can't point out. But I appreciate you sticking all the way through. To the next one, y'all. I'm out.